This is to a legend, fallen soldier. Rest in peace, Pat. Listen. Yeah. Let me take you back to December 1942. Appearing in this world we're in, and herein she bore two. Delivered early in the morn, wrapped up in her cot by dawn. Patricia Harris was born. True Cockney flourished into a beautiful teen. Became Miss Butlins in Clacton once she was seen. She met Frank Butcher, who was hooked up an Eastend goon who bedded her. In spite of his girlfriend June, Pat was devastated, seemingly relegated. She felt unappreciated, though there was love beneath the hatred. Life didn't improve much for the young Pat, hardly, especially when she hooked up to a Mr. Tony Catani, a shady club owner looking to make a name for himself by putting many women on the game. Pat was strong, Tony couldn't put out the flame, and for her money was the aim, so she sold herself. How I just can't fathom, became a regular for a certain Johnny Allen. Still, without enough cash to break the bank, she pondered the whereabouts of her soulmate Frank. Now, Pat could get away with murder as a looker, but her family was shamed when they found out she was a hooker. She eyed up them was Miss Frank lost for real. In the 60s, she found herself married to Pete Bill. Now, Peter always saw a future involving kids. Out came David and Simon, but were they really his? Pat became bored again, looking for a sex fix. Embarked on an affair with a man called Brian Wicks. Pete had enough and was divorced by 66. Pat remarried. Brian was quickly up to her old tricks. The marriage started well but left Pat miserable, as her husband was violent, often became physical. Her entrance to the square was far from typical. This chapter of her life proved to be the most pivotal. In no time she went up Walford into a lava by telling Pete that Simon was not his, he had another father. Lou Bill heard some gossip as she passed her. Pat enjoyed the confusion and it brought her laughter. Lou kept the truth quiet as it bubbled like a blister, but words were overheard by Pauline Pete's sister. Lou thought the discussion was out of earshot. Meanwhile Pauline told her twin brother the lot. Yeah, after Mehmet's suggestions she soon regressed and pressed men. All the while herself and Pete were far from best friends. 87 almost died, but it wasn't her time just yet. Left battered and bruised in the square, Pete was the prime suspect. Frank returned after June passed, they moved into the Queen Vic. Pat was happy, even dealing with Janine's stick. 89 was the time they signed like they were never born apart. It warmed the heart, tied the knot, left in a horse-drawn car. But good times never last long in the square. It took till 92 before their lives turned pet. They struggled for dough, the B&B had to go. Pat cabs launched, for a while it ran the show though. That Christmas Eve she missed the beat, ran a young girl down while driving who hit the street. Life was jeopardized, over the limit when breathalyzed. Girl died on New Year's Eve when Pat was set to rise. More twists and turns, course felt she didn't learn. Handed Pat out a 6-month prison term. Did her time after causing death to a teen. Wanted a fresh start, came home, Frank had fled the scene. He'd hired Phil Mitchell for a plan to insure the grants, torching the car lot in an insurance scam. Frank felt the strain, heartbroken Pat was alone again, as if a streak of bad luck was prone to tread. Then Roy Evans expressed his feelings to Patricia, she wasn't interested, he couldn't get with her. Splashed out on a cruise, she was on it, wasn't coy with Roy, told him it's strictly platonic. That worked out fine, cause he was impotent. She loved him in spite of this, cause he didn't treat her like a simpleton. Pat tied the knot with Roy at first, had a ball. Stuck with him through sickness, health, wealth and all. Frank got hitched with Peggy Mitchell soon after meeting. Scene seemed serene, but history is a way of repeating. It took a holiday in Spain for the pair to consummate a game. No lie, a spinning bow tie had Frank winning his day. They aimed to leave the square as a grand gesture, wasn't prepared or aware that they'd never reach Manchester. Before they left, Frank was less than clever. Peggy found a confession letter, read it to the pub, we knew they'd been together. Followed by a slap in the face to put Pat in a place. Roy kicked her out the house, to him she was a disgrace. With no job, no dough, no home, no prospects. Pat hit an all-time low and thought what's next. Time passed, Roy decided to try again, try amend, but Barry refused for wifey friends. Life resumed, she wasn't far from a sticky tragedy after covering up the affair with Ricky and Natalie. Roy was distraught, now they've been caught. Pat took Frank's blood over his, well that's what he thought indeed. He took her lies to the plot as he wheezed from the stress and died on the spot. Barry was numb and stayed in that said state, inherited his father's wealth and removed the dead weight. But he should have looked past the mountain of lies to see his new wife Janine only had pounds on her mind. He didn't survive the situation, he'd misjudged it. Janine admitted everything to Pat, left her disgusted. She got revenge when she faked an alibi after Laura Beals left it in the end didn't testify. Pat Pat got a job from Andy Hunter at the betting shop. Murdered in 05, his lies only sought to get him dropped. The verdict suicide, they should look into that. Still in his will, we left the bookies all to Pat. She slept with Frank again and he came and went. Wanted more male company to avoid the pain again. Trouble looming, she landed a slick human. More infidelity, guess who? Yeah, man, Patrick Truman. Stacy saw it, told Yolanda about the sordid affair. Ignited a rivalry that was the talk of the square. Soon Pat decides to leave for the shores of Spain. But here's of Frank's past and it's always implored to stay. Peggy offered support, seemed they relaxed their feud. Pat stayed in Walford, moved in the Jackson brew. As the cracks improved, she stayed calm, heart intact. Even survived the injury of Roxy's car impact. Fact, she stayed strong through other obstacles, such as Stephen Bill's attempt to smother her in the hospital. Heart attack caused by Janine's stress. A test that wasn't lovely, it didn't brace. You got a pacemaker, hit the road in recovery. Now on politics, to save Walford from disaster. Run for council, but they weren't ready for this rafter. After this, she ended a love triangle. Was a stay in a curse. Peggy leave the Vic, Walford and Pat without saying a word. Hit New Zealand to visit Simon, escaped Janine's tricks. Comes back, discovers Whitney's gone, Bianna's in the nick. Soon Norman kissed her, but she rebuffed the advances. Can't take the bluffs of giving men more chances. So Simon still broke, her past still haunts her. Derek Branding returns, ran in a house and taunted her. Brings up her history, lists her defeats, but she adapts in the street persistently. After routine checks, doctors have bad news for Pat. Cancerous tumors, plus nothing they can do for that. She left the wing, refusing aid. Wants to risk her life to Ricky's dismay. Hits the Vic for a last drink, lets the hours pass. Needed to act quick, running out of time in that hourglass. Soon she's bedbound, surrounded by a herd of people who couldn't save her from hearing Derek's words are evil. Ian returns to learn that life will soon pass her by. Helps her to rest and says his last goodbye. Even Janine puts down the evict and notice she brought her. Crumbles, hugs Pat, she was the closest thing to her daughter. Close to her final side, she almost came to demise. Hangs on to the hope that David will arrive. He does, they share their love as they cry. He tried to leave but she was about to die. She tells him to make things right, cause nothing's final, son, except in her case. Because her time was come. Because her time had come. Yeah, yeah.